live now.
Yo, welcome to No Boxing No Problem. I'm Jose Jimenez Jr., and I have the pleasure of interviewing today pro boxer Shawn McCalman. How's it going, Shawn?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Pleasure's mine. Thank you for making the time, brother. So before we get started, I do have a video clip of one of your fights, and I think I got it from maybe your YouTube channel. So no copyright strike on this one, all right? Let's share the clip. And there we have it. I like how you're mixing it up to the body and the head. You know, just keep them guessing.
Got to keep a balanced attack.
Absolutely. So the first question I got for you is really basic, but I always like to ask this one just so I can get a feel for boxers' backstories. How did you get into the sport of boxing?
Well, I guess it's kind of unorthodox because I don't have any family that boxed. Like I can't say, hey, like my dad boxed, my brother. Like me, I'm like I'm the first professional boxer really in my family. But I was in college at the time, and like boxing was something I was always interested in. I had never had any like real background in it. I had background in like taekwondo, things like that. I did that for a long time, played football, things like that. But boxing, I just kind of like dropped out of college, picked it up, and just went full speed ahead.
Nice, yeah, and like you said, we don't hear that often because a lot of it you hear like either it was in the blood because the family did it, or right. One of your parents pushed you into it. So it's good that you kind of found it, after college.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's an advantage for me, like coming to it as an adult, really like with the focused mind. Like I didn't get burnt out. I haven't experienced getting burnt out with it, or like feeling like wanting to stray off and go do other things. Like for me, yeah, it was like I made a decision to do it, and yeah, I've stuck with it ever since.
Yeah, man, you had a really great amateur career. I think it was a 65 wins, 7 losses.
Yeah.
And you included 3 Colorado State Golden Gloves. Any names that you find the amateurs that are making some noise now in the pro scene you can tell us about?
Probably just one. About a guy from Philly named Keontae Irving. He's a fellow super middleweight, but yeah, he's the only one I seen that's still like still at it.
Still at it, oh, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I've sparred a lot of top guys, but yeah, nobody I can say I fought. I'm like, hey, this guy's still,
Eventually, he'll come.
Yeah.
And then I know you're co-trained by a former champion, Vernon Phillips. How's it been having him in your corner?
It's great, when he's obviously been at the top level, has fought at the top level, has seen it all, every style, every been through every situation you could think of. So it's like having a lot of game for he has a lot of game to give. Like he, even if it's just small tidbits here and there in passing, but having someone like that around is obviously a huge help. To have someone who's climbed the mountain and knows like the pitfalls to avoid and like the things to avoid in training or fighting or even the business of it. Like he's all around like an encyclopedia of like experience. To pull from. So it's great having him around.
Nice. And then you're listed as a super middleweight, but I did see on your record there's a few fights that were closer to the light heavyweight limit. Is still super middleweight the weight class you plan to kind of settle at and campaign to win a title, or would that eventually be at a higher weight class?
Yeah, 168 is where I'm at right now. I plan on campaigning and staying for a while. We'll see how like the landscape of the division looks in the coming years. Obviously, all the belts are in one guy's hand right now, so that makes things a little weird. Like I'm always thinking back and forth, like, hey, should I go to 175? Because I'm a natural light heavyweight. Like for me, 175 is like I could go sit in sauna for 30 minutes and I'm at 175. But yeah, 168 is where I plan to stay. But 175, I feel like there's a lot of great opportunities there. 168 is kind of a lot of guys. It's kind of like the lightweight situation where it's a lot of guys and a lot of names, but nobody's fighting each other. Everybody's bickering amongst each other, and nobody's making the fight. So we'll see how things look in the coming years.
I agree. And then with light heavyweight, you got Arthur Beterbiev right there with the 3 belts right now, and he's up in there in age. So once he retires, or if he loses those belts, and like gonna be up for grabs and gonna shake things up.
Yeah, he's on his way out. So, yeah, like I said, that's the division I really see myself like 168. Like I said, that's where I'm campaigning at and where I would like to win the title at, and then kind of just like I said, move up, and really that's where I feel like I'll solidify myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you've had 3 pro fights in Mexico. How was it fighting in Mexico compared to like the fighting in the U.S.?
I mean, it's different, just like from the culture to like lifestyle. It's not like me. I fought in like border towns. I went to Agua
Hmm.
Prieta, and it wasn't there. No cell phone service, no like hot water in the bathrooms.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely a different experience. It makes you appreciate like what it's like to be a professional athlete somewhere like America, where like everything is kind of like on a table for you. Like it's just about what you can go and get. In a place like that, it's they're the people like even the fighters. You might look at a record and see like, oh, this guy got more wins than losses, but yeah, like I always say, it ain't sweet. Like don't get in there and think it's sweet or like it's a guaranteed win. I've seen undefeated guys go down there and lose, take their first loss.
Hmm.
I've seen it all. Like I've seen guys from the states go down there get knocked out. Like I've seen it all. So yeah, no matter where you go, a fight is a fight. Is
Yeah.
one thing I've learned from being down there.
For sure, for sure. And then speaking of undefeated fighters, your last fight was against a fellow undefeated fighter at the time, Marquise Moore. What do you say? He's your toughest fight to date?
I wouldn't say it was my toughest fight. I would say like on paper, he's probably my best win.
Hmm.
Um, but I feel like I've been tested like along the way. I don't really like to take easy quote unquote easy fights or like gimme fights. I've been tested. Like I fought a 5-2 guy when I was 3-0 who was he was a multi-sport athlete, had at least a good 36, 37 professional fights, and he's still fighting. He was a MMA fighter by trade, but
Hmm.
like made the transition to boxing. And those kind of guys are really awkward, really they switch stances a lot, throw punches from weird angles. So like I wouldn't say that was my toughest fight. I would say maybe that was my toughest fight. But I learned a lot, from that fight. But I wouldn't to put in a few words, I wouldn't call it my toughest fight.
And I feel you, and then especially because now the win loss record can be deceptive because a lot of fighters they get protected until they get to like 20
Mm-hmm.
fights. So I want to ask you about that because it's rare for fighters coming up like you that risk their O so early in their careers. They usually wait till they're past 20 fights to start going with another undefeated fighter. Why do you think that's the case?
For myself,
No,
like why?
just in general for the sport of boxing, like why are people so concerned with protecting that O, so late in?
Well, it's hard to say. I've met a lot of. I've been around a lot of top guys. I've met undefeated guys. Get down. I've been around a lot of fighters, and I would say like honestly, it comes down to your mentality. Like, do you have the self belief to jump in there and test yourself early? Like, I mean, me, I started boxing late, or what would be
Yeah.
perceived as late. But you got guys who have been boxing really since they came out the womb, and then they take 20 professional fights before they're willing to take on a tough fight. It just I don't know. It's weird to me because you would think it would be backwards. Like someone like me would want to like take my time and see where I'm at, but I'm like no. Like I have the confidence in myself to take on undefeated guys and fight tough fights like Von Alexander, who I was 7-0 when I fought him, but a
Yeah.
lot of guys who fought him before I did or even after I did. You look at their records, they're 19, 20 and 0, like, got 20, 30, almost 40 fights. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know what the mentality is. I guess maybe it could be their promoters, it could be their team around them, but I can't really speak to like what they think. But yeah, I could just speak to, myself and my confidence in myself. Like I know what
Yeah.
I can do. I know how I train. I know like the mentality I have. So yeah, like I said, I can't really speak to them.
And I agree with that. And I had a fighter on here for a previous interview. He was always also undefeated, but he was going to test his O, with somebody else. And his mentality was
Mm-hmm.
like, I'd rather test it when I'm still doing the club shows
Right.
rather than like when I'm finally like headlining something like ESPN, all the bright lights, and then I lay an egg and kind of embarrass myself.
Yeah, you get embarrassed, and then it's like, okay, well, the one shot you had to really show what you could do, you kind of blew it, and then it's like
Hmm.
people don't see you again, or like if they do see you again, they're not expecting much from you. But yeah, like me, like I said, like I pride myself on like the hard work I put in, and like the fact that I'm not gonna be boxing for forever, and
Hmm.
at the end of the day, I'd rather test myself like right now when I feel like, like I'm entering my prime. And yeah, like it's I don't know what the fear is. Again, I can't really speak to it, but you even see it at the top, like not even just amongst the prospects, but like just fighters in general scared to risk their own, and I just don't understand it. At
I
the
feel
end of
it.
the day, our business is fighting. Like
Yeah.
you can't pick and choose. In the amateurs we couldn't pick and choose, so why are you picking and choosing now? Like it don't make any sense to me.
All
But
right, yeah, that doesn't make sense. And then I wanted to ask you because it looked like you had a fight scheduled for August 6th against Ulises Jimenez, but that fight never happened. Like why was it canceled?
I believe it was some issues amongst the promoters, like just some things going on with the promotional side. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, of course, things out of my hands, so I can't worry about it too much.
Absolutely. And then, do you have a target date in mind for your next fight?
I should be back in November. We're
Back in
looking at
November.
November of this year.
Any fighters in particular for that fight?
Nah, we sent a list to list of names to the promoters. We'll see who says yes. With me, the biggest thing is like who's gonna say yes. Like, I'll like I said, I'll fight anybody, but everybody doesn't have that mentality. So we'll see who says yes. Is all I can give you.
Yeah, for sure. And then I know your tagline is you're one of boxing's best kept secrets. I think interviews like this and just your performances in the ring are gonna get that secret out there. Have any big promoters started reaching out?
No promoters just yet. I think, and honestly, I think that would be like the next big step for me is like find a promoter, let them do, make them do their job, and
Hmm.
kind of push me out to the people because like I said, I know what I can do. I know how I feel about myself. I know what my resume speaks to, and now it's just really time to get my name out there and get to that get on those big platforms.
For sure, for sure. And then, how do you prepare for fights? Do you watch your opponent's video, or do you kind of focus on you and your improvements?
I would say there's a balance there. Like I like to watch really just to see like what their style is. Is he tall? Is he short? Is he lefty? Is he righty? Is he aggressive? Things like that, and what their tendencies are. But I don't spend too much time watching film. I really just like to prepare myself to the best of my abilities and then go from there. Because
Yeah,
a fighter could really change it up. They might look one way, and then for you, they might prepare or have a game plan for a totally different fight than you're expecting. So I don't think you can put too much stock into film study and things like that.
yeah, no, for sure. You gotta be able to adapt in the ring in case they come up with something
Yeah.
else. And then I want to ask you about the Colorado boxing scene. Apart from yourself, any other boxers we should keep an eye on that are making noise in Colorado?
Misael Lopez actually, who will be fighting on the Stevenson and Conceição undercard. He's pretty. He's doing his thing. We've got a couple guys like we got a couple amateurs who are on their way up. Alonzo Neal. We got professional heavyweight Martin Paredes. We got some up and coming talent for sure.
Nice, nice, nice. And then, how far have you had to travel to get good sparring before?
Um, Not too far, really. Like the one time I've been on the road twice for sparring. I went down to Atlanta, sparred with some guys down there, Money Powell, and a few other guys. I spent the week in LA with Sergey Kovalev. Um, but for me, like it's easy. Like I get good work down in Colorado Springs, which is about 45 minutes away. You got guys like Terrence Crawford who have their training camps down there. And a guy like that, he brings other great fighters with him. So
Mm-hmm.
I've got the chance to work with a lot of good fighters just by, really just a hop, skipping away in Colorado Springs.
Nice. For that Kovalev fight, were you training him for the most recent Thriller event?
Yeah, I went
Yeah.
out there and spent the week with him for that Tervel Pulev fight.
Nice. And then, who's the hardest puncher you've been in the ring with, either in sparring or in your pro fights?
Um, I can't really say in pro fights. I haven't took like any real big hits yet,
Mm-hmm.
but definitely Sergey Kovalev. Like that's no brainer. That he's still a world class fighter even up at his age. But also with the fact that he was moving up to cruiserweight at the time too, he was a lot bit naturally bigger, fighting at a weight class that was more natural to him.
Yeah, you tend to feel those more.
Yeah, for sure.
And then my next question is, who's a boxer that surprised you? They turned out to be better than you expected them to be once you got there in the ring with them.
Well, that's a good question. Maybe again, like the MMA crossover fighter I fought. He I watched a couple of his fights on YouTube, and I thought, I ain't really think much of him. Then we got in the ring, and like I said, he was real awkward. Did different things that you usually don't see like a traditional boxer do. So I would definitely say him. But other than that, I kind of know what to prepare for, know what to expect most times when I get in the ring.
Nice. And then my next question: who was your favorite boxer growing up?
Well, I have my favorites like from the current crop. Definitely Terrence Crawford. He's like a big influence on my style, big influence on like my mindset as far as who I am as a fighter. Andre Ward, big influence on my mindset. Like he's all about mental toughness and like mental fortitude. I was a huge Adrian Broner fan back in like 2013. You know, back when he was just fighting at 135, 140, when he was on his way up. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to say. I watch so many different fighters, and I have like a general love for boxing that, like, yeah, I watch any and everybody, see what I can learn from them.
That's nice. Yeah, and Andre Ward, me being from the Bay Area, I got to see him live a few times in Oakland, and yeah, he's definitely one of my favorites. Underrated, basically underrated.
Yeah. Sure.
So my next question is, who's your current, number one pound for pound fighter?
I would say I got like a 1A, 1B kind of situation going on right now. I would say Usyk, of course, and then Terrence Crawford. They're my two big, like as far as accomplishments. Yeah, you can't really take anything away from either of those guys.
No, for sure. I think either one of them has an argument for one.
Yeah.
And then we talked a little bit about this, but what are your thoughts on the super middleweight division? I guess no one's really fighting each other right now.
I think it's a division that has some good names in it, but again, like we don't know who the top dog is other than Canelo. Like he was the only one who went on a run, just beating champions back to back to back, top guy back to back to back. But the super middleweight division is good. I think it's a division that a lot of guys will come to, and then like it's like a stop on the way to 175 a lot of times. Mm-hmm. Like 168, nobody really sticks around and then like solidifies himself and then goes up, other than Andre Ward. You haven't really seen a lot of guys in recent times really be able to separate themselves at 168, which it's unfortunate, but hey, maybe that guy will be me.
It could be. So my next question is, what are some boxing icons you had the chance to meet in person?
Terrence Crawford. Who else? Sergey Kovalev again. Like I got to work with this guy. Who else? I think. Honestly, not too many. I haven't been like I'm the new kid on the block in the boxing game. Really, like I haven't met too many guys other than the ones I've sparred with and the ones like I've seen, like in training camp. But Terrence Crawford was like that was a big moment getting to meet him. Just like seeing these people that you look at on the TV and you're like, oh my gosh, like this dude is like the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then you see him in person. It's like, but yeah, like I said, I'm like the new kid on the block, so not too many, other than like I said, the guys I've sparred, but yeah, not a whole lot.
Yeah, I bet it's still got to feel good though. Could you be like, I'm one of their peers? We do the same thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's exactly how I look at it. Like, I try not to fan out or nothing like that. As much as I respect them, I look at them like peers. Like I'm trying to get to where you are. So at the end of the day, I look at myself as like equal to these guys. So yeah, I wouldn't really call them icons. I call them my peers. Like it's cool to meet them, but at the end of the day, we're all competing against each other regardless of weight class for like stardom. We're all competing for a piece of the spotlight. So yeah.
Agreed. All right. So then for our next segment, I like to call this kind of the fan segment, because I'm going to give you 3 fights and you tell me who would win out of these matchups. Okay. We'll start with the super middleweight division. Canelo Alvarez versus David Benavidez. Who wins that one?
I don't know. I think that's honestly, I think that's a closer fight than most people say, stylistically, because Canelo's not the greatest off the back foot. David Benavidez ain't the greatest off the back foot, so I think that's a close fight. That's a really close fight. I can't really say.
There's a toss up. Yep, I feel it. Yeah. I feel it. The second fight, Jermall Charlo versus Demetrius Andrade.
If I had to pick, I'd say Jermall Charlo. I think he's just based on the fact that he's been fighting and with the way Demetrius Andre's kind of been carrying himself lately, as far as like not wanting to defend his belt or like things like that. I would have to go Jamal Charlo. It exposes a lot about like your mindset and where where you are as a fighter. Yeah, I pick Jamal Charlo for sure.
Nice, yeah. And the thing about Andre is like he's super talented. He should be further along in his career than he really is. He hasn't had the big opportunity to showcase it. You know.
Gotta yeah, and I feel the same way. Like I don't get me wrong. I think he's one of the best fighters in boxing. But the whole Johnny Beck situation, like it kind of it made me look at him like, huh, like what what's this about? But hey, again, I can't speak to what other guys' mentality is, but I definitely think he has all the talent in the world. Of course, he's a world class fighter, obviously two-way division champion. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Again, I can't speak to their mindsets.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And then for the final fight, who would win out of Edgar Berlanga versus Daniel Jacobs?
Hmm. I'll probably go with Danny if we're talking about based off of like. See, when you ask me these questions, I'm thinking like, okay, who got the better skill set? And I think Danny has the better skill set, but he's on the older side, and yeah, he hasn't looked good in his last couple of performances, but I still think he has enough to pull it out over Belanger.
Yeah, but Berlanga's still kind of learning, so I think if Daniel Jacobs digs deep, he can win that one for sure.
Yeah.
All right, coming back to you, Shawn. What are some of your hobbies and interests you like to do outside of boxing?
Hanging out with my family for sure. My 2-year-old son, I don't know, you probably heard him crying off camera. But yeah, hanging out with my family, just doing things with them. I don't really do a whole lot. I spend really a lot of my time training, really just staying focused on my career, and yeah, that's really about it. Hanging out with my family. Any and everything, it usually revolves around them. So I'm just usually with my family, music, watching boxing, a lot of things that involve just being in the house.
Nothing wrong with that. And as a fellow father myself, I got a 9-year-old and a 2-year-old. I gotta ask you: is a 2-year-old going through the trouble 2 phase, or is he calm?
He has his days. I like to look at it like he's a human being. We have our good days, we have our bad days, but he's been a little bit of a handful since he came out. In all honesty, yeah, that kid, he's just he's a riot.
Sounds like my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, the last question I got for you, Shawn, is not really a question. It's more just kind of an open floor for you. What's message you want to send to all your fans and supporters?
Keep supporting me. Keep your eyes on me. Again, like I feel like I'm one of the best kept. Not one of. I feel like I'm the best kept secret in boxing right now. Like I really feel like I'm on the cusp of like breaking out into the world stage and showing people what I could really do. On the cusp of some real big fights, and yeah, like I said, just on that precipice of superstardom, I guess you could say. Like for me, yeah, I'm about to kick down the door to the world stage and like yeah, really get things going. So keep your eyes peeled, keep watching me, keep supporting me. I appreciate everybody who loves me, who supports what I do, and yeah, just a big thank you to everyone.
For sure. And then for people that aren't familiar with you on the banner, I have your Instagram handle. Everybody go check him out. Follow his career. Definitely, big things coming. And,
yes,
Shawn, I really appreciate the time. Thank you so much for this interview. Much success in your next fight. Looking forward to seeing you back in the ring.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. You have a good night.
No problem. You too. Have a good night. Take care.
All right.